Hey guys, welcome to Belief with Nikki Jacobs. I'm a little off today. I'm still not doing well, but so today's beep beep, yes, beep beep. Today's topic of conversation is consciousness and then Atlantis. Couple of things have kind of popped up and they kind of need to be talked about. So I'm gonna move all this. Thought I had all this taken care of, but it doesn't look quite right, so we're redoing it. It's just part and parcel. Normally I don't know. I just can't seem to get with it with doing this. I don't know why. It's just I think it's because of body issues. Anyway. Okay, so consciousness. So all about okay, I gotta do this up here because apparently this is gonna do it the way I need it to do. All right, 1 second. Bit of business, sorry. Here we are. Okay. Hey Drew. Trying to let Amy know that I'm live right now. Okay, so and I just don't have the patience for dealing with the rest of it, so that's okay. Moose free zone. Yes. Oh my god, Drew, you had quite the situation. Oh my god, scary stuff. Okay, let's see if we can see my paints instead of my junk table. It has everything. Anyhow, let's see. Still got the bright blue. Yeah, it's telling me I'm not okay yet. All right, so get me in my propel. All right, so consciousness. A number of things. No trucking manual for that stuff. Yeah, no. Yeah, Moose Inn Road and yeah, no. That's the last thing you want to see. Oh my god. Either that or a Bigfoot or a dog man. Oh, debatable. Anyway, I don't have my headphones. I should probably have my headphones on. Anyway, consciousness. Something that's also ET consciousness. I should have put that in the heading. I can do that for later though. Anyhow, the things that I wanted to talk about regarding consciousness, some stuff that I've realized, not just realized, but have been shown by the ETs that take me, abduct me, whatever you want to call it. I know people where they have really difficult times and hi to whoever else joined. Because I don't see who you are, I just see the number in the chat. One of the many things that I've realized is that there's been quite a deal with consciousness with ETs. There's been quite a conversation in a number of chats recently. Hey, Amy. And recently, like in the last, 7 to 12 days or so, from what I've seen about consciousness and different wide range of conversations. Okay, get the hair away. I've got to get a haircut. It's just I haven't been able to do it over the weekend. My body has not allowed me to do that kind of movement. So excuse the you don't like the hair right now. Anyway, so the ETs have shown me some of the ways that they take that they've taken me and that they've taken others. I find that really fascinating, that they're allowing me to see it, whereas before it's been hidden. So I find that incredibly fascinating. I'm trying to get my brain to click into saying what all they've done. I'm that's the other thing that I got shown in the last 3 weeks by the ETs is they went to test me, and they went to show me that because of the last 2 injuries that I've had, the very serious last 2 injuries that I've had, physical injuries, it's literally because I've had to slow my brain down from being a type A personality, and boy was I was a type A personality. I mean, and I've seriously had to slow my brain down because I just got bored. I was bored to tears, so I had to come up with different ways to deal. And in the last 3 weeks, they've literally they tested me, and they were like, when you are put into a situation where we do not allow you to remember, you are very quick thinking, quick witted, go, go, go. You're very much the 1990s type of woman that we have known you to be. But when we have tested you, where we've made you aware of which body you're in and what it is, you are very slow brained. And I'm like, oh, F. That really goes above and beyond pissing me off. I just, because I was very fast on my feet and very methodical, but yet very militaristic. And I do mean militaristic because they had me in militarized type of scenarios and situations, and I've been in hand-to-hand combat, and I think that that's what they really wanted me to see, is that I need to speed my brain. It's time for me to speed my brain back up. It's time for me to get out of the kind of the pain brain type of thing. Folks are talking in the chat, and that's what I'm chuckling over. So it's been quite an eye-opening experience to me in that regard. And it's hell of a test that they did about 3 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago. It was just a hell of an eye-opener to me. And I don't like the slow brain stuff. In other words, I've calmed my brain down so much that it's going to be interesting getting it back up to speed. Really interesting. I can still talk a blue streak. That's not an issue. But I used to have the ability to where I was thinking, I could literally, I was like my grandfather in this sense. He used to be able to think of and work on 5 to 6 projects at the same time while having a conversation with somebody. I was of the mindset to where I could do between 7 and 9 projects in my head, working on them individually while having a conversation, while having a complete conversation with somebody, and not have any issue with doing any of that. Now that's I'm at 3, but I'm at 3 projects in my head, but I can listen, but not do the responding and full conversation. That's not okay in my opinion for me personally. So when we're dealing with consciousness and what I've learned from the ETs, yeah, everyone was kung fu fighting. Yeah. Like I said, it's just been a hell of an eye opener to me. Regarding consciousness and what they've shown me and how they take me for consciousness, there are so many. What I've learned from them in the last 3 weeks is that there are so many forms of higher consciousness. Like I can bilocate. That's it. That's kind of like a given. Now that I know what it is, I know what to call it. I can bilocate, trilocate, I can go up to 5. Well, technically 6, but it's super, super freaking rare. But yeah, sometimes it's unexpected knowledge, says Drew. All of a sudden I got really thirsty. Anyway, so in higher consciousness, when the ETs abduct the consciousness and not the body, what they do, and I've talked about this before, I've talked about this either here on YouTube, on Restore Belief with Nikki, or I've talked about it with Susan Swanbeck on her show, Raven's Flock. And it's possible that I've also talked about it on, excuse me, although I don't remember that at this second, but it is very possible in the last 3 years I've talked about it. Excuse me, on the S4 bunker. So what they do is they put a form of some kind of device over the top of the head. It's like from here to here, how I remember it, it's some kind of device that literally sits on the forehead. Literally, about like this. And it's not really big. It's not wide, but it's not really tiny either. And there's like 2 or 3 parts to it that one stays with the human, and one goes with the ETs that go to their ship. And I don't know what the middle part does, but I know there are pieces to this. And they keep the human either in bed or in a chair, wherever the human is. That's where the human stays. Wherever they're asleep at, that's where they stay. And it seems so odd to me to talk about this, but this is what I've been shown. This is what I've talked to them about, openly talked to them about. And they're okay with me having this conversation now. Some parts of it I will not describe because it's been made very clear there are parts of it that they do not want described. I get that. I fully understand that. And it's and Amy's asking, is it some kind of frequency device? I don't know. What I do know is that it literally subdivides out part of the human consciousness. I've never there for a long time. Yeah, rules and rules and rules. Exactly. Says Andrew and Gnome's Trucking Express. I call him Drew. Yeah, lots of rules. And there are certain things that I will respect them on that for those rules. It's probably not ready to be divulged yet. There's probably a timing factor to that. Like I know there's a timing factor for me talking about this now. And I get that. Anyway, so just like I know that I can go into higher consciousness while sitting here and being in 4 to 5 or even 4 to 5 other locations in my higher consciousness, and actually excuse me, it's different. Excuse me. It's different. Oh, stupid chair. It's different than remote viewing. Remote viewing is completely different than higher consciousness work. It's a totally different ballgame altogether. So you've got astral projection, astral travel. You've got remote viewing, and you've got higher consciousness, forms of higher consciousness like bilocating, and other aspects of that. Remote viewing is a form of using your higher consciousness, but it's not actually bilocating. It's very different. Now, what they're doing is while the beep beep. Sorry, my phone is. Matter of fact, well, no, it's still going to be heard no matter what I do. So what I know is that the human is asleep. Device is put on the human's forehead. I've never had a mark on my forehead, not once. I used to have round cylinder marks, circle marks, that they would put on my arm, and it would be a piece of well, to me it's like 2 of our American quarters thickness put together, stacked one on top of each other, and it literally melts. It's a form of metal that literally melts on into the skin, into the body, into the human body. And whatever kind of metal that was, I was having horrible allergic reactions to it. I finally said, "You guys are causing me problems. Every time you're taking me, you're leaving." And yes, I got pictures. I got pictures up the wazoo about that one, because, and I would have blister marks. I would have metal toxicity allergy blister marks, histamine blister marks in a round cylinder mark. It was really bad. Very itchy. It acted at times like a burn, almost, and at other times it acted like a chemical burn. And I would have all sorts of problems with this bone that sticks out. I don't know if you can see it. You know that, maybe not. There's a bone right here. Well, they were putting this thing in between here, all the way in this area. Well, the bone starts right here. I am here to tell you that bone, oh my God, there were times I would be screaming. It would hurt so bad. Now back to so that stopped. They stopped using whatever that metal was and started using something else. And they started doing it up my arm up here to where that's another subject. But I'm not having allergic reactions to it anymore. They're hitting the fat section of the arm. I mean, it's all fat, but I mean, good God. So anyway, yeah, the soup bone. So regarding the consciousness, what would happen is I would, I'd have this sensation that I was still in my body, and yet I was with the ETs, or I would literally be in the process of waking up in one of my clone bodies. Can't tell you how freaky deaky that is. It is bizarre as F. I'm trying not to use, the F and the K and the ING and all of that. So I'm using EF instead, or just plain F. So yeah, it was just balls out crazy to me. Because I never understood why I knew that I would move my legs in my bed, but yet I would know that I was having interactions with ETs on the ship. Made no sense to me. I did not understand that. Now I understand it. It's because they were subdividing out the consciousness. Not all races of ET do that. The specific ones that take me, there's two races. One are the tall grays. They're the 7-foot tall, super skinny grays, big heads with the really? Well, now that's interesting. I just got told that I can say what I was going to cut myself off and not say it. And I just got told that I can say it, there's one specific gray that has been with me since I was born. And now I've said that before, but what I don't think I've said before is that he has a father-like feeling to him, to me, if that makes sense. Which is very strange to me, but there's very much a father figure with this one specific ET. Matter of fact, so much so that there was something that was done to me a couple of years ago, and I got so upset over it. I remember waking up. I had literally been returned, and I knew that I had been physically taken, because hello, I had a butt naked, fat body going over a fan, and there's no way in hell I could physically go over that fan. That fan was over by my window and aimed straight up at the ceiling. I mean, how do and that's what woke me up, was the shivering. Was one of those occasions where I was shivering so bad. And the shivering is what woke me up. And I said to him, "Don't you ever," the item that they did, I said, "Don't you ever do that to me again. Don't you ever, no." And I'm not going to ever say what it was that was done to me, but it's never been done to me since. And I know it hasn't. My body, I know it hasn't. And I've had the sensation when I've been around him of this resemblance of the feeling of an apology. I'm sorry we did not. It's kind of like, and I'm sorry we did not know this. This is good for us to know. Thank you for telling us. It was that kind of a sensation for quite some time after I was around this ET parental type figure. I don't know what else to call him. I do not remember his name. I haven't been consciously allowed to remember his name, I suppose is how I should say that. I don't believe he was around during when they shattered my mouth when I was in 6th grade. I think that was the other ETs. But anyway, so this ET, this tall gray, and I have memories, and it's interesting because he doesn't exactly look like the other tall grays that I've seen. He resembles them, but he's distinct, and I don't know if it's just his energy that I'm picking up or if it's that there's something slightly different about his body shape. There's something slightly different about just off about his head. And I haven't been able to describe it. Anyway, consciousness. So they put the device over, they subdivide out the consciousness, and keep you in a dream state, your physical body in a, I'm going to sneeze, physical body in a dream state. Well, at least it's not the other side. My right side, they did such work on my inside of my mouth and screwed with my nose up into my sinuses that I've had problems with one blood vessel ever since. And anyway, so let me respond to this. So basically, I woke up, I was in bed. They subdivided my consciousness out into these basically 3 parts, one with that stayed with my body, one that did something else. I don't know what I literally I have no memory of what it did. But the other higher consciousness I do remember. I remember waking up in my clone body and doing things kind of like, for lack of better phrasing, on their behalf. Kind of like there's a number of humans that are considered human ambassadors in the ET worlds, and I know that I have been one of them. I didn't quite understand that until 2018. I mean, part of me knew it already long before that, but I was never I remember the word, the phrase, "You're an ambassador." That's how I remember it being told to me. And I'm trying to remember approximately what year I was told that. It about 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. I keep wanting to say it was later than that, but I know logically, if I really, really sit and think about it, it's not. So 2005, 2006 was when I was told that. And I have that very distinct memory of being in my clone body, being in literally on another planet in a this fascinating room with other beings, fascinating clothing. It's just, and some of them were deliberately blocked. Some of their faces were deliberately blocked from my memory. I remember more of their bodies than I do of their their face, what we would classify as their faces. So I know that the faces were blocked. Some of the conversations that I had with them were blocked. Some of the conversations weren't blocked. And there were things that I didn't understand. I still don't understand how I knew to say very specific things, yet I also know that in that consciousness state, in that clone body, that how do I explain this? That I had connection to not only the ET type parental, male type parental figure, but I had, and that's telepathic connection communication, but I also had connection communication, telepathic communication with another ET. I still don't know who that person is. I know it was a female, or she feels, the being feels female, just like this parental figure feels like he is a male figure. So that's what I've learned about the consciousness regarding ETs. And yeah, they do, this specific race does create clones of the humans. I know that not all do that. I know not all ETs do that, but this specific race does. I have seen my own clone bodies. I've woken up in them when I wasn't supposed to. They weren't ready for me to be waking up conscious in my clone body. One of those experiences was where I was on a table and I woke up and I had 9 rods, literally 9 rods out of both of my legs, and I sat straight up. Now, mind you, I don't remember it this second. I've talked about it so much that it's just right now I don't remember the age I was. I was either in my 32 or my 34 year. I have 3 clone bodies: 32-year-old, 34-year-old, 36-year-old. I was either in my 32-year-old or my 34-year-old clone body. Anyway, and tits are smaller. I mean, they're still big, but they were smaller. I had no tummy. I mean, I had a tummy, but I'm not like severely morbidly obese this time. Not like that. I was very, very fit, very active. I was at that time in my life. I mean, and they designed my body to stop. I don't want to say growing, but they knew what level I was comfortable at when I was very active and very fit. Let's put it that way. And very aware of my body at those different ages. Trying to think of other things. So I sat straight up and started ripping out the and I couldn't understand why I wasn't feeling it. It didn't. And I was pissed. I remember waking up and I was pissed, and I was like, what the hell are they doing to me now? And I just started ripping out these, and when they came out the tops, when the top of the rod came out of the top layer of my skin, that's when it hurt. It didn't hurt pulling, which made no sense to me at all. But that was one of my experiences in my clone body. And I've seen the clones. I've seen them in their gestational, it's not gestational because they're not forming. They're already formed. But I've seen them in the containers. I've seen babies in the containers. So sorry, I was reading the chat. Yeah, my hands are getting. It's trying to figure out if that's. Did I have anything that I'm? No, I didn't have any allergy food today. Okay, so no idea why that's happening. So we're gonna start with some lotion for the hands. Anyway, well, that's not fun. My lotion's old. It went. I need a new bottle. So I gotta shake this damn thing up. Anyway, there we go. Now hopefully that'll work right. There we are, nice and creamy. So basically, now I'm gonna put you over here then. To get this stuff on my hands. Tops of my hands are itching like crazy, and that's only happens when I've had really dry skin and I haven't had a chance to get lotion on. So yeah, I've woken up in my 34-year-old body, standing next to the 9-foot tall, sorry, female 8-foot tall, males are 9-foot tall, 8-foot tall, female ET standing next to me with the bent backward legs, and the other woman who was in her clone body, and we're looking at each other going, well, here we are again. Hi, it's you. Oh, it's you. So yeah, I mean, I've had numerous experiences where I've woken up. So they deal with consciousness very differently, and that's how they're doing it. That's how they're taking the human subject. Trying to figure out how to say this. Anyway, that's how 1 or 2 or even 3 races of ETs are taking the higher consciousness and leaving the body. And that device is left on the forehead or on the head. Mine's put on my forehead. It's literally put over the third eye. There's something that connects the third eye to this device. I know that. And the part that stays with the device and consciousness that stays with the sleeping person, that ends up monitoring the human. The other part of the connectivity is somehow, I mean, you're still connected with your higher consciousness to your other higher consciousness that they've got in the other device. I have no freaking clue how they do that. I just know that it is okay. See you in a while, Amy. I might be back on, or I might still be on. Anyway, so it's good to see you, Amy. So that I do know that's how they're doing the higher consciousness. That's how they're dealing with taking the higher consciousness if they're not taking the physical body. Monday I had talked about being really frustrated with receiving downloads and having them do uploads. So they've got some kind of device attached to me on my left side. I've never seen anything. I've had because of migraines and stuff that I've had, and different medical issues. There's never been a device on me, so I still don't understand how they are monitoring me. I know that um, because of somebody else, they were able to make a definitive um, look at me aura wise, and they found that there was a device in my auric field, aura field, however you want to pronounce that. This is going to drive me nuts. I got to move this damn thing. There we go. And that's very serious. Because the person that came across it, um, you need to talk to Keith about that because he is the one who gave me that information. He was there at the time it went, and it wasn't. Based on what he has told me, it wasn't. No, they are not dummies by any stretch of the imagination. I was very I still call them being stupid because they went against, they knew better. Um, I'm still angry about that, but she's talking about Atlantean stuff. Something that I had said earlier, uh, privately, and something that I do want to talk about publicly. But yeah, it's been kind of a mind bender in how ETs are dealing with us humans, and doing things, um, leaving screen memories for the brain, so that we don't become upset, so that we don't recognize. And it may very well be that that's part of our contract with them. Um, it may be too that um, uh, brain fart. Anyway, so I know that for me, I get very frustrated with um, the uploads that they do in how they check on me because it really affects my equilibrium. And I have been checked medically up one side and down the other regarding my ears, and there's nothing there that in our medical community, um, in our current or even our past medical community could find anything. And of course, that's not what they were looking for. They were trying to figure out what was going on with me at the time because I was having so many different health issues. Um, but I now understand what that sensation and what that feeling is. Um, and quite honestly, if it hadn't have been for Susan Swanbeck and her seeing it firsthand as a psychic, witnessing it, I would not have put it to, I mean, it would have taken me so much even longer to make the realization of, oh my God. And because I always have something going on every freaking day there is of my life, there's spirits, there's, I mean, ETs, there's everything under the frickin' sun you could think of I have going on, which is one of the reasons why Sue tells me, "Oh my God, you've got so much going on." And I'm like, "Yeah, every day." It's been like this. It's just always been like this. So, um, anyway, my point being, I have finally found out that yeah, it is a device that they put on our head. If they're not going to physically take you that night or whenever you sleep, if it's during the day. So, and FYI, I have had little oh God, red, blue, and white. Not red, white, and blue. Red, blue is always starts with a little red one, and then a little blue one shows up, and then a little white one, and I know it's the ETs. And they're teeny tiny. They range from the light ranges from the size. This is a dirty one, but I don't see this. There we go. Size of a pencil eraser. Okay, size of a pencil eraser, all the way to the size of a quarter. They've been here in my home. They show up. They buzz around. They check. They either buzz around me or buzz in front of me, check me out, and then they're gone. And they are so fast. And I'm like, did I just see that? Well, you better make note of it. What time was it? Oh my God. And sure as shit, usually 2 or 3 days later, I have an experience. Now, that hasn't happened in a while, but it has been known to happen. And that's one of the ways that, and they're so tiny. I mean, they are so just unbelievably tiny. They truly, utterly amaze me. But that's one of the ways that I get checked up on. If I don't get checked up on via the whatever they do for the upload or download, so on top of it, I have an ET spirit guide. That's one of these folks that does take me. So there's that too. What else? Translucent. Yeah. I've described the ETs before, and the word that I keep forgetting, I always forget, I keep wanting to say they're iridescent. They are so not iridescent. The smaller ones, the ones that are like 5'5" to 6'2" or thereabouts. So I usually say 6 foot, but I know people that are 6'2", so they just range in size. They're a form of a gray, but they're human looking. Their skin is Caucasian. Their skin has a translucent blue or a translucent green over the top of the Caucasian skin. I've touched them before. Their skin feels like a human. It doesn't feel like a gray's. A gray's skin feels I almost want to say rubbery, but rubbery is not the right word. Cold and clammy is close to it, but clammy isn't the right word either. But rubbery is probably the closest thing that I would classify it as, but it's not really. Rubber is not the right word either. Actually, you know what? It reminds me of neoprene. Now that I really think about it, their skin actually reminds me of like a scuba suit. How a scuba suit feels. It's kind of like between a neoprene and a form of a rubber, a really light, not a dense rubber, but kind of like a medium rubber. So between a medium rubber to a light rubber to a neoprene, somewhere in there. And hopefully I'll remember that. I don't know if I'm going to write that down. But anyway, the clones, the clone nursemaids that stay with the children until they're literally off the ship and they're full-grown adults. They look like full-grown adults by then. They're not mentally, but they are physically. They're very much full-grown adult physically. They range in. I've seen. Okay, so the nursemaids, they're all under. Oh, they range in height from about 4'9". I gotta think about this. About 4'9", 4'10", somewhere around there, all the way to about 4 or 5. I want to say 5'5", but that's not quite right. It's more like 5'4". And I'm really good with. I'm really specific with measurements and things like that. So, and anybody that's ever been in my life could tell you that. There are certain things that I'm really good about, and measurements is one of them. I'm almost always spot on with my measurements and stuff. Anyway, usually within a half an inch. That's not a joke. Very serious about that. Anyway, so yeah, they 5'9", 4'9" to 5'4". Very few of them, like the 5'5" ones. Those are the ones. The ones that are 5'5", those are the nursemaids that are in charge of the entire collective of nursemaids that deal with the children. I've seen children, hybrid children that are deformed. I've seen that are disabled in one fashion or form. These children the nursemaid stays with that child through that child's life, the full term of that child's life. The other nursemaids that are with children who are not physically incapacitated in one way or another, or are not mentally incapacitated one way or another, they only stay with the hybrids that I've seen. They only stay with them until they are fully grown and are ready to go off the ship to onto planet. And they're only on that ship for 30 days. 31, 32 at the most. Usually around 25 days. They go between 25 and 32. It's just easier for me to remember 30 days in a month. I know 31, but anyway. What else? I'm trying to remember a bunch of other things. Oh, the nursemaids. They're human. They're not human. They're ET human. They're a hybrid. They're a clone. They're Caucasian skin with translucent blue over the top. And oh God. And they've got some of the most beautiful blue eyes I've ever seen in my life. Cerulean blue is the closest blue that we have on Earth that could even come close to the blue of these eyes, of the nursemaids and of the race of beings that I deal with on a regular basis. Although the picture over there, right there, with the three eyes, she had, oh gosh, she had green brown, mostly green, but her eyes did change color to brown, which is interesting anyway. And her skin was oh my, excuse me, kind of this taupey, she wasn't brown, but her skin was kind of leathery. And I'm trying to remember how to describe her neck. She was big. She was a big woman, big ET. 7 feet tall. I don't remember her feet off the top of my head, but I remember long claws. Oh God, long claws, long fat fingers. Not really fat, but big for her size. And blood red veins over it, just blue. She had blue veins too. Blood red and blue veins. Anyway, I've got all that written down, but yeah, regarding the consciousness, that's how they deal with this specific two races. That's how well, not her. That's not how she deals. She deals very differently with she's of a race of beings that completely believes, no, you physically take them. You don't do the consciousness. You don't do the subdividing out of the you don't do the subdividing out of the consciousness. You abduct the full body, and do all the other things. What else? Oh, Atlantis. Yes, I'm going to talk about Atlantis. Well, hang on to your coffee. It's going to get interesting. Yeah, I disagree with that. Okay, so all right. Okay, I was having a conversation with somebody earlier about the fall of Atlantis, and I've met a lot of living human beings who remember their experiences on Atlantis, and I know that they were telling the truth. And so there's kind of this debate right now, but so over the last 4.5 years, I've had quite a series of conversations with individuals, all these individuals who remember their time on Atlantis. And I believe I've talked about this before. Well, I know I've talked about this publicly, but I don't think I've talked about it here. Not on my channel. During my time on Atlantis, I and a current friend of mine, I was head of security on Atlantis and have very, very specific memories. I died on Atlantis. Well, this one last lifetime on Atlantis, I died on. I've had a numerous lifetimes on Atlantis, but for many, 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 many years, I was head of security on Atlantis. And I make no bones about saying that publicly. I don't give two shits what you think of it. This is what I remember. These are my experiences. And if you don't like it, too bad. This is what I remember. Sorry, I've had people give me a lot of shit for this. A lot. Really hard time over this. And I'm fed up and I'm done. And anyway, so these are my experiences. And a friend of mine who is 20 some years younger than I am, or thereabouts, we unexpectedly made the realization that, oh my God, she was my second down. Oh my, I mean, it hit me really hard. And I unexpectedly met somebody in, trying to remember what year it was. So much that happened in 2019 and in 2020. I unexpectedly met somebody in 2020 that I knew them. I knew them, but I could not place them. And they mentioned Atlantis and they mentioned something else, something very specific that I will not make public. And for the safety of Atlantis, I will not make that public. I might on my deathbed, maybe. And I might in a book, in my memoirs, but not any time now. No way in hell. And if you can hear that bird, if somebody can figure out what kind of bird that is, they're not very big. They're not very big at all. They're just reminds me of a nuthatch, but it's not a nuthatch. They're not quite as small as a nuthatch, but almost. Anyway, and I'm in Washington State, in the United States. Anyhow, so met this person and they told me what they were during the time of Atlantis and what they were in charge of. And I went, oh my God. And all of a sudden I started having, it triggered me. Excuse me, because I started remembering what this person wore. And I knew where they were in the hierarchy of Atlantis. They didn't tell me that. And I said that. And they were like, how did you know that? And I went, we knew each other. And we started talking. Now, this is in a group of individuals. So this was not a private conversation. And the two of us were just kind of astounded by what we knew. And when Atlantis fell, part of it fell. Another part of it, according to other people two others that I know, have distinct memories of Atlantis raising up out of the ocean. I know that there were sections of Atlantis that were part of an island, and they know that their section of Atlantis was part of a ship. It was like an ET ship. And it came up out of the water and it went into the sky. And I also know that I was responsible for getting the royalty off of Atlantis. It was a really big freaking deal. There was a great deal of problems in the hierarchy of Atlantis, which is what led to its downfall in a major way, because there was an incredible amount of arrogance within the authority. There's a great deal of arrogance in the authorities of Atlantis and the hierarchies of Atlantis. And they were not listening to what me and my team were telling them regarding security. They believed nothing could take them down. Absolutely nothing. And when you get arrogance of that nature, who refuse to listen, who refuse to not only see what is being presented in front of their very eyes, and who bicker like little school children, yeah, I have a lot of anger about this, because Atlantis never had to have gone down. Never needed to be lost. Really pisses me off. And a lot of people died because of their stupidity and their bullshit. And it's the same kind of crap that is going on in this world here on Earth today with the different governments across the globe. The arrogance and the bullshit and the crap that is taking place, and that has gone on Earth for a good 50, 60 years, if not more than that. Anyway, so yeah, we had warnings in the security area. We had warnings of earthquakes that were happening, and we weren't being listened to at all. The security department was not being listened to. And the arrogance of it all. I just want to slap the shit out of these people. I mean, it's just out of the souls. It's like, if you bothered to pay attention, this would have been a very different world today that we live on now. Would have been a very, very, very different world. There would have been things that, I mean, how we did things. We had crystals were used. Crystal spheres were used to create safety and security. Everybody had different, it's like color codes different alarms for different sounds, I should say, different sounds as different alarms. And you use the energy of your body. You were consciously aware in detail that I can't even begin to tell you. I can't even begin to describe it. I don't know how to describe it. I literally do not know how to describe it. Could I describe a lot of the Atlantean buildings? Oh, hell yeah. Will I? I don't know. Some of my friends know what I've described. I've talked about bits and pieces of it. That's fine. But there are big sections of it I probably will never talk about because it it was so beautiful there. And it was, I want to say, like a caste system, but it wasn't like a caste system. I don't know how to describe it. And then there were sections to where yeah, the authorities went, and priestesses, different races of ETs coming and going, flying in and out of Atlantis. And I do mean flying ET ships. You had motherships in different sections of Earth, and they would allow their, what we would call shuttles, coming down into the city and land in a specific section, or off to a different specific section of the city. We had security for the royals, and yes, there were royals. There were families who were very much hardcore royalty families of ETs. I mean, you didn't F with them. I mean, wow, hardcore. I mean, really serious hardcore stuff. And if there were ever a disaster or a catastrophe, the magnitude of which did happen, yeah, I'm sorry. I get very angry over it. Such stupidity, rank, arrogant stupidity, over what they did. God. But Atlantis went down because of a series of events that happened within a day of issues, but more like within 30 minutes. A series of events were starting to happen, and I had security teams literally getting the royalty families off the planet, getting them to shuttles. And I have friends who are living now, who remember that, who remember leaving, who told me. I didn't tell them. They told me. I wasn't going to tell them what I knew. And I'm like, holy crap. And I knew that they were telling me the truth. They described in detail to me what they remembered. And I'm like, that's exactly what happened. So I knew that they were telling me the truth. I've talked with somebody who was a scientist, who told me their information, and what they knew. I've talked with other people who were in the area at the time, and in the area of the careful how I say this. The science building, one of them. Yeah. They just didn't the those in authority didn't want to listen. The precious, trying to think of the word to use without saying it. The precious items, the most precious items of Atlantis. The priests and priestess who knew how to do it were able to secure those items from Atlantis, and those will never be found. Not by humans, anyway. There's no way in hell they'll be found by humans. Do I know how they were procured? Yes. Do I know how that they were put into safety? Yes. Do I know their locations? No. Do I want to know their locations? Yes, but no, because then that would make me a security risk to the Atlantean, those precious items. And quite bluntly put, humanity is not ready ever at any given moment in time in our history. Have we ever been ready to learn how to operate those precious items? Humanity needs to get its thumb out of its ass and deal more with its consciousness and start learning and opening its consciousness. No joke. I make no bones about that. That is a really big deal. You have to open your mind further, become more advanced. What we're doing with the dumbing down of not just Americans, but the entire freaking global community of humans? Are you kidding me? That bullshit's got to stop. And until that stuff stops and reverses, then maybe, yeah, it'll be time for the Atlantean devices to come back out of hiding. They're dormant. Well, not all of them, but many, many, many of them are dormant. And there are certain individuals that I know that put them into their locations. Do they remember the locations? No. Well, the really large ones, no. The ones that are as big as my couch, I've got a 5.5, 6 foot couch. There's devices that are as big as that. Some are even bigger. Some are, God, they're as big as this wall. There's a wall that is in front of me that's about 12 feet in length. Yeah, 12 feet in length. In diameter. 12 feet in diameter. There are devices that I remember using. God, they were, look at my couch. About 8 feet in diameter. And you used your hands. And actually, you used your feet. You took your feet out of... No, not gonna... No. But mostly you use the energy from your body, and you used. So, I had the Asshats ask me the second time when I protected myself, how did you do that? Well, hello. You do it from your body. This is information I've known since Atlantean times. I mean, it lasts with you. If you don't know how to do it, I'm not going to frickin' tell you how to do it. There are things that I will teach. And yeah, I have had quote unquote students, people that have wanted to learn from me. That's fine. But there are other things I will not teach because many people are not ready for it. They're just not. Now, but when I have grandchildren and I'm still around, will they get some of that teaching? Most likely. Because they will be coming from, well, there's 2 of them that'll be coming from Atlantis. And one of them won't, but that's beside the point. Don't start with me, stomach. So regarding Atlantis, it went down because of a series of events, catastrophic events that all happened within an extremely short amount of time. And it's also because of the arrogance and the extreme stupidity of denial land. And normally I would not call denial stupidity. But when you're dealing with a group of individuals who have the information in front of them, the current technology, and Atlantis had incredible, oh my God, mind-blowing technology that oh my God, the stuff we could do now. Holy crap. It's incredible. It's incredible what they could have done or what we could do. But they chose. It was a choice they made to not follow what was going to happen. And it wasn't just predictions. It wasn't, oh my God, it's a psychic prediction. Oh, well, it wasn't that. It was solid facts. Solid facts shown to them, documented. We know this is going to happen. It's going to take place between here and here. Guess what? It did. They still didn't believe it when it was happening. Some of them didn't even believe it when they were in the process of dying. That's what I'm talking about. That's stupidity. That is deliberate ignorance. You're deliberately allowing yourself to stay ignorant. And I'm like, you know what? There's no reason for that. We had the documentation. We had the proof. We had the knowledge. And those who were supposed to be in charge, oh my God, you don't do that. And look at what it did. Look at what it did to an entire civilization. Not okay. So yeah, I get on my soapbox when it comes to Atlantis and when it comes to certain things that I see. There's certain individuals who are put up on some of these TV shows. And I don't even watch the TV shows, but I've seen the freaking advertisements for it. I want to smack the crap out of them. I'm like, well, not physically, but I mean metaphysically. I'm like, Seriously? No, that is not what Atlantis looked like. You know, you may have a small section in this drawing that you've done that looks like it, but nothing else in it looks like it. That's what drives me nuts. And what gets me is a lot of they'll talk about the different races of ETs, what we call ETs, beings, that were on Atlantis. But they're not showing, if you're going to depict them, show them in how they dressed. Show them in what you remember them wearing. With humans standing there with the quote unquote ETs, the otherworldly beings. Atlantis was a city that didn't just encompass humans, it encompassed all races of beings. And we traded with the Minoans, we traded with the Egyptians. Oh my God, there were so many different cultures that we traded with. There were places in what is now obviously America that we traded with. There were places in the Caribbean that we traded with. It's a global thing. It's a global thing. So yeah, Atlantis went down for a number of factors. It wasn't just one. It was a number of factors that all happened within a very, very short time period. And it really pisses me off. Up one side and down the other, as the old saying goes, because authorities wouldn't listen. You know, they thought they knew better. Well, guess what's happening globally right now? Civilizations can crumble because people don't take heed. And that is the really sick thing. So just be careful in what you learn about. Do your own research. Think for yourself. Look things up. Figure things out for yourself. Find out information. Find out as much information on whatever subject. And Amy says, that is what I mean. This kind of ignorance can be created. Oh, yes, very much so. They made choices to not listen, to not pay attention. And they went after people. And that's not okay either. And that's what's going on in today's world. It's the exact same thing all over again. Difference is we're still alive and living, whereas their entire civilization literally crumbled. And it killed thousands, not just hundreds, but thousands. And you're not just talking the human population, you were talking ETs too. So, on a brighter note, do your own research, look into information, figure things out for yourself. So, I'm very thankful to have been in contact with the people that I have been regarding those who remember Atlantis. Really thankful. There are people, I'm not going to out the individuals that I've talked with. Oh my, excuse me. Because that wouldn't be right. But I will talk about all the different things that we've talked about to some degree. And like I said, I will not give up Atlantis's devices and exactly what they were. But I will tell you this. Those devices, sorry, I keep looking at my couch because one of the many devices they were huge, and I just keep seeing it every time I see a section of my couch. I keep seeing it in my vision every time I look at this one section of my couch. I keep seeing this item. Remember, crystals have energy. If you think they don't, then what are you doing on my page? What are you doing on anybody's page that revolves around psychic abilities, paranormal, historical events, regarding, because it's classified, I mean, most people classify it as woo. If you're curious, get into it. Really do a deep dive. As the saying is now, dive down the rabbit hole. There's a lot of people that I know that will talk about this, and they have really good knowledge, plethora of knowledge. Avoid the authorities in it when it comes to this kind of stuff, because a lot of times, and I say that only because a lot of times those in authority, when it comes to the historicals, a lot of information gets hidden for a very specific reason. Be careful with that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good quality information with certain authorities, but at the same time, just be very careful. There are certain agencies that are U.S. Born is the word that keeps popping into my head, that are U.S. Populance? That's not the word. U.S. based. That's what I was trying to say. That are not so great. There are ones across the globe that are the same way. They deliberately hide certain information, and certain governments do the same thing. It's because they want to keep they don't want that information out. Well, you know what? It's beyond time to put that information out. It's way beyond time. Quit doing the bullshit trickle-down effect. Doesn't do anybody good. Do chunks of it. Don't do the trickle-down. Do chunks of it. If you're going to put it out, start doing the chunks of it, and then start putting more of it out. There's a lot of information. Anyway, Nikki went off on her soapbox. Tonight on the S4 bunker, let's see what we're going to be talking about here. Tonight's conversation is going to be portals and ley lines. which actually ought to be pretty interesting because of the fact that there is the Bermuda Triangle. Would you consider that a portal? There are somewhere between 8 to 9 triangles on the planet Earth. Would you consider those portals? And we have somebody in the science community who hopefully will be on the call. Geologist, retired geologist, and he's always got some very interesting things to say about ley lines. So anyhow, so give us a listen. It's the S-4 bunker, and you can find that on Spreaker.com, and the information is in the description box below. Please give this video a like and a share, and if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. I do appreciate it. It's been an interesting conversation, so to speak, tonight, this afternoon into early evening. There's also our Keith Andrews, I believe, started at 4:30. It's now 5:20 right now. And I believe he goes until 4:30, 5:30. I think he goes until 6:30. So you've got another hour and 10 minutes or so with him. Our Keith Andrews, I will put his link in the description box below. S4 Bunker will be in the description box below. And Spaced Out Radio tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific. I was about to say Eastern. 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight Pacific time. I do not remember who they're having on tonight. Let's find out. And then, of course, there's a whole list of people of different shows, and I got a brain fart going. Anyway, there's a list of different shows. If it will fit, I will put those in the description box as well. Let's see. We were looking at SOR tonight. Let's see. Come on. Down. Come on. My cell phone is not wanting to work properly. SOR. Spaced Out Radio. Science Bob and Friends. The science of UFOs, orbs, and the consciousness connection. Oh, how interesting. I wonder if he's having Lola Bright on tonight. Anyway, so that's also on. The S4 Bunker starts at 10 p.m. tonight and goes until midnight. So there's a bunch of different shows you can watch and listen to. Anyway, take care. I hope you have a good evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you listen to this. Take good care of yourself. Do some breathing, deep breathing, meditation, and start looking into higher consciousness. Mwah. Love to you all. Take good care. Bye, guys. And I will try to be on next Wednesday, hopefully at 3:30 on time. Hopefully. Bye, guys.